5, 4. Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equities Story. I'm with the one and only Mr. Wolf, and this is just general share advice and not personal advice. And Wolf,
Yes.
the first time ever,
Yes.
you're worried about my hot stock,
I am a little bit.
right? Listen, I get it, and I knew when I put this on, I'll go, oh, the Wolf might be a bit worried about. All right, go. And you can see today we've had some scary moves in some charts, right?
It makes it even more scarier when you think about it, right? But we'll set the scene so everyone can make their own choice, right? What to do here.
Yeah.
So, basically punting on anything, buying anything before the results.
It's a risk. It's a risk.
Yeah, it's a huge risk, right? So February, half-year reporting season. August, full-year reporting season. And to me, they're the most stressful periods for me of all time because, it doesn't matter how good your company is, God knows what they're going to come up with. And if it's something that the market does not quite like, you're probably going to get smashed. We've seen with PWH last week, right? I love the story, but unfortunately got smacked by 15%. It's fighting back today, but this is the problem. If you're a trader, it's very, very difficult. This is where, Dave, I think we have to distinguish between traders and long-term investors here as well. If you're a trader, very difficult to trade something before the results come out. However, on the flip side, it could work out beautifully for you, but it's a huge risk you're taking, right, with that.
Yeah, so, listen, retail is a scary place, right? Yeah. But this is a company, the reason I like it is they're rolling out numerous stores, right? Yes. So I think they said in September they're rolling out roughly around another was it 50, I can't remember now, 47
and globally, 47. Right? So globally,
yeah, it's globally. So all around the world they're just opening these stores, right? So one should think if you've got 500 stores and then you're moving up to 1,000 stores, your revenue over that time is going to do very, very well. Now I understand it could be lumpy and there could be a few risks here or there. But when you read through their annual general meeting, their trading update, there's a lot of positives in that update, which I thought Wolf would give a pretty good clue that it should be a good report coming up. But I do accept there's a lot of risk in it, and we said that in the report. We said the report's next week, so certainly there is risk if they do not hit market expectations. Yeah. Correct. So there's two ways to go. You can wait for the report and you can buy it, or someone could look at this and say, right, long term I like this story anyway, because I think the story is, this is was a one that Claude's been watching, and one that Claude would like to buy if any on weakness, if he could get it, right? So I've got the team of analysts, generally speaking, liking the story. But Wolf, when I pick these stories, it's often on the charts. Yeah. And again, apart from that blip it had, and this was when the market got sold off really last year from March to June. Apart from that blip, what you're seeing is a very consistent chart on a very consistent roll up, right? So that is what I like from the charting point of view. What I like from the fundamentals point of view, yes, retail is risky, but I mean, even if you
love that rollout story, Dave, I completely get you.
I'm looking. Look at all the other roll-up stories on the market, right? Yeah. Look at Kelly Partners, right?
They had a good run.
Right. Look at, what is it, AUB?
No, this is a roll-up.
Roll-up, right? Right. So roll up.
I think the rollout stories are things like Domino's, Dave. That's the good one to have a look at.
Yeah, well, look at Domino's in its early days, right, when it got going, right? So if you if you take it over a long period of time, it has its moments, freeze, and it has its moments, right? So if you put
I think right at the moment they're probably at that up trend for sure, right? With like a Domino's, but on the uptrend early days for a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
you can have a really good run with it.
It's this, you can have a good run with it, right? And so that's the logic in saying it's hot, right? Why it's hot is roll-ups, rollouts are doing extremely well on the stock market, right? The market liked them, the consistent revenue, and the business is growing. And for me, Lovisa has that. It has that roll up, roll out. And yeah, I mean, when I look at that, how bad could it be, the announcement? When I'm looking at, when you read this and you read their guidance, they said, in advance of our annual general meeting, we'd like to find an update on the state of the company's store network and current trading conditions. Global comparable store sales for the first 19 weeks of FY23 continued the strong trajectory from the first 7 weeks of the financial year, and we're up 16.1%. Blah, blah, blah. We have been in lockdown, Wolf. A lot of their stores have been in lockdown. So a lot of their stores have opened up again. Again, the shopping centers, especially here in Australia, are busy, busy, busy. So I don't know.
You think they're going to look like a genius?
Or maybe not. Okay. But I would say it's one of the first weeks I was really struggling. Well, there was nothing really that stood out. There's always one hot stock that stands out every week. Yep. And I think the other one possibly was RXM. But again, that is risky because it's resources, right?
Absolutely. Very high risk.
So it got on Einstein's anyway, right? The other one was 88, which I had a look at 88. Maybe we know that's a good story. I can't
believe you didn't put Telstra as a hot stock.
Well, it's too slow. But Lovisa, what wins?
Fair enough.
Look at it. Look at it from 2018, right?
Oh, look, I like that. Also, maybe the swinging chart that maybe we're going to have seeing here, right? So,
well, that's the other thing. It's is for the last 6 months, it's held trend, and I'm thinking, if it's good or wins, then I've got my 10%, right? I don't know how bad it could be. I mean, if they're rolling. They're rolling out all these stores around the world. They're rolling in at nearly every country in the world. I hope they're not rolling up.
I think we all got one in Poland too now.
Yeah, you got them in Poland, which worried me because if the Poles will ever bloody pay for anything, that's a bit of a worry.
Oh well, they're like cheap.
But that's the only issue, right? And obviously, hopefully they haven't got too many in Ukraine, right? But you know what? In some ways, that de-risks the model. They're rolling out in every single country in the world, or every sort of major country in the world. And the more they roll out, the more they strengthen their buying power, the more influence they get on the market, right? The more margins they can improve in a difficult time. So there's things I like about this story, Mr. Wolf. And you can't knock that chart from
Dave. I understand your thesis behind it, so you don't have to explain yourself anymore. Rollout stories can be very good, right? Lucrative and so on. So the setup here is, if the results are good and the market's happy, you're probably going to, like I said, you're probably going to be a winner. So there's a risk event here coming up. Just be careful. There's your choice. And if you want to, if you're prepared with that volatility, look at it long term. Buy it for the long term, and if there's going to be a bit of volatility, so be it, as long as it's not a crappy result that you think to yourself the fundamentals have changed, which I don't think they will. But apart from that, I think that's decent.
Or if you won't, take the 0.84% profit. All right, Wolf. Let's talk about some announcements that did disappoint the market.
Yes.
But also that certainly something like BSL, which actually had a really nice chart as well.
And this is why, Dave, when we're talking about Lovisa and so on, and then I look at like last week's charts, BSL, thinking, wow, I'm buying this on this thing, and then you get an announcement like this morning where the market didn't like it. It wasn't that bad. Yes, profits came down significantly because they usually can fluctuate from quarter to quarter or even half to half, and the market just gets completely smashing it. You think to yourself, this is a tough caper.
Yeah.
Very tough audience. Anyway, what do I do here? If you're in this on a trade, I'd probably still holding the end of the week. I don't think it was that bad. Like I said, the profits they didn't have. They only made a quarter of what they made last time, or a third, sorry, of the last time. So it's a big difference between the two. The P is going to jump up significantly. It's not going to be super cheap like it is now. But that's the nature of the story. We got to understand, right? This could go up and down. So as a trader, Dave, I'm going to leave it to you. As a fundamental analyst, I don't mind it. It's not bad. The only probably issue I've got with it, if we do see further tightening of interest rates because of the inflation, it possibly can still drive their profits even further down, right? So I'm just a little bit worried with it fundamentally, but it's not a bad company at all.
Yeah, it's never really been. I mean, it had a good trade, didn't it? Over. It actually did surprisingly well, Wolf, between over COVID, because you're thinking really nothing was happening over COVID. We all locked down.
Well, we still had zero interest rates, so everyone's like, yeah, let's buy infrastructure, everything. Let's just build everything.
All right. So listen, it's not charting at the moment. If you're charters, you get out of it. Now, A2 Milk was, I thought, a lot better than it's actually it's starting to fight back a little bit, Wolf. So I think the market, you had a look at that announcement, you thought, well, hold on a second, because I thought that chart looked good, and I sort of get why the chart looked good, because the announcement wasn't that bad.
No, absolutely. Right? I mean, the thing is that that's what the market probably expecting, a decent announcement. It was a decent announcement, but there's some investors out there that thought we could have seen more out of this company, right?
Well, they're thinking time to take a profit, right?
Yeah, maybe. Exactly. We've had that event now, we're going to take a profit. But you know what? Long term, I don't think it's bad. I mean, the numbers today were double-digit growth, pretty much across from revenues down to the bottom line. EPS grew significantly. I think the outlook, even they said there's going to be low double-digit growth, right? That's pretty good. I'll take that. Maybe the only thing that's against it, maybe that's why there's a bit of profit taking also, is trading on 32 times. It's not super cheap, but you can see that with time, Dave, that's going to probably come down in the 20s in the next 12 months.
Yeah, definitely. And the market's always liked A2 Milk in a way, hasn't it?
Yeah. So I think, look, I think for me, it will definitely probably hold the $6, right? That's probably my thing here. It will definitely hold the $6 over the next 6 months. So if you do have a little bit more weakness, maybe there's a buying opportunity in a longer term type scenario.
And interestingly, the same birth rates were down 10% in China, which is strange, because you think locked up, the birth rates would have been going up a lot higher.
And I think, there's now, I think I've definitely read somewhere that the Chinese are talking about they're going to boost, they need to boost their birth rate. So it's going to work for them favor long term, right? Short term, yep, bit of pain. Birth rate might have dropped 10%, but I reckon the Chinese are going to make people...
All right, Wolf, well, maybe we'll send you to China and hire you out, Wolf.
Exactly. Make people make...
Yeah. Do you want a baby looking like Wolf? Well, we could make some money with you.
Another one. Let's go to another one that, the chart looked pretty good and it got absolutely shellacked today. So you can see, you're probably thinking to yourself last week, this is not a bad story. I'm holding on to this one. Bang, down she goes. So again, the results weren't that bad, Dave.
I think the charts did tell you though. Look, they had the crucifix, the crucifix upside down.
When I see the crucifix is there.
It had the tombstone, it's called. So the tombstone, you see the tombstone, Wolf.
But you don't expect the tombstone to go underground.
Of course you do. That's what happens when you have a tombstone. Where do you go, mate? You don't
underwater.
You don't go above ground. So they put you right.
But again, I think it just shows you how dangerous it is. And again, long term, probably not bad, but short term, with thinking inflation, costs are going up for you. So if you are struggling Australian, you're probably thinking one of the things that's probably got to go is the expensive bloody health insurance, because health insurance in Australia is extremely expensive.
Yeah, and our public service is so good, right? So
right,
yeah,
so you can probably put up having no health insurance for a couple of years, right? Save some costs somewhere. I can understand.
And also, Wolf, there's a real uptick of health insurance over COVID, wasn't there?
That's right. I mean, again, I read an article saying that there was a uptick in insurance, a big surge in insurance, private insurance. But they're saying that's going to fall off a cliff because apparently, or like a one-off, people took it out for 12, 24 months to do major surgery. Now they're going to drop it. It's because you got to hold on.
But Wolf, I think people also took it out thinking, well, if I'm really sick, I should get
exactly,
it.
Exactly.
If I get COVID, I should take it. I don't think there's much surgery because I had surgery over COVID, and there weren't that many people in the hospital, and the doctor said he's very, very quiet. So I don't think it's so much surgery. Honestly, I think it's just people were scared, and they thought if I catch the COVID, I want to
protection, right? Somewhere where I can go somewhere peaceful and quiet.
I want the ventilator. right? Right,
Exactly.
because there was talk about there was hardly enough ventilators, so everyone thinks
Exactly. So hopefully, if I go into a private hospital, they've got a ventilator for me.
yeah, they'll get the ventilator, right? Which then they discovered later is actually does most probably kill you. But anyway, say la vie.
But anyway, look, I think that's what's happening here. That drop off now might be expected to happen here, and I think they flagged it in their results today that things are maybe starting to turn a little bit south.
All right, okay, all right. So anyway,
But,
Dave
like I said, it's not the end of the world. We saw. Look, again, I want to go back to PWH because late last week, we saw PWH get absolutely shellacked by 15% on a result that maybe wasn't quite up to standards, higher up to standards, but it's fighting back now. So we could see some of these also fight back a little bit towards the end of the week or next week sometime. So don't despair if you're holding these long term. Wait, at least for the end of the week.
All right. Anyway, disclaimer: I know nothing about ventilators and COVID. In case I get 100 complaints.
No, he just reads.
Yeah, I just read funny
far right articles,
funny magazines. All right. Right.
All right, let's look at some good stories, shall we?
So this did look good on the charts, Wolf, and again a strong announcement. It's up and looks like possibly. Do you think it could go higher on that announcement?
Look, it all depends. Again, their underlying business, how it's going to go in this environment. So we've got petrol stations and refining. Where's oil price going? I think that's starting to edge up again. So I think overall, good dividend player. I think this is what you'd probably be holding on. I wouldn't probably buy it as a long term because it's very volatile and it's very cyclical. But as a dividend payer, and I think the dividend on here, let me just double check that. I think it was quite attractive. So ALD was paying 7%, Dave. So that's something you'll probably want to, if you're dividend hunting, you'll probably want one top of your list.
All right. That's not bad, is it? 7%.
Yeah, and eight times PE, absolutely. So you've got one of those, another one that you have to think about if you want to have it in your portfolio as a dividend payer.
That's not bad. You know what? We are spoilt in Australia for good dividend paying stocks.
Absolutely. I mean, the place to go to for dividends, for income.
Yeah, we definitely are. There's nothing like Australia for these sort of companies.
I know.
Right, KLS.
Yep.
Kelsian, they won a decent contract, and
they did in Sydney. So Dave, I think again, transport, leisure. Because remember, they also own cats, right, catamarans, and so on. So I think this space, and I will go through a couple of others in a moment. I think this space is pretty good. So maybe at the end of the week, this could be a trade.
Yeah, listen, it's a stable business model. Buses, fixing and contracted with buses. I mean, that we're always
long-term dated. Usually, they get it for a few years. They don't get it for like a year type stuff. So. Yeah, definitely. But again, it depends. Can they win some contracts? Can they get more work out of this? And it is also, Dave. I think they're also in England as well. They've got some business units.
Yeah, their dividend's not big enough. Well, maybe it's tradable. Yeah. I think we look at.
I think we're waiting the week with this one, right?
Yeah, BGL's starting to turn a little bit. Wolf, what did you think of the announcement?
Oh, look, the key for me here was the changeover in the CEO. So Steve Parsons has left. He was very good. He's obviously taken the company quite a long way towards almost production, right? They're very close to it. But the interesting, the guy who's taking over is an ex-NST guy, Dave. So these guys like Bill Beamans, this dude, they know what they're doing, right? It's a pretty good signing, I think.
All right. HLO, Hello World. Yeah. It's funny, it's sold off a little bit, and you talk about the margins are still tight. You're not 100% convinced.
That's not my favorite story. It's definitely the smallest, probably the lowest quality one that we've got. So we've got Webjet, we've got CTD, we've got Flight Centre. This is probably the fourth on the list there, and I think that probably the price sort of suggests that. So Dave, these sort of players, maybe there's a trade here and there, but for me, the announcement wasn't just quite good enough for me.
All right, let's talk about EVT.
This one, on the other hand, was a bit better. And I think if you look at, they've got a few different business units. So they've got hotels, they've got what is that? Well, I think they've got two other businesses in that leisure space as well. I think they've got cinemas as well, and one more. And all those are actually firing on all cylinders now, Dave. So big turnaround, huge turnaround for EVT. I like the fact, because I went through the actually hotels, because the reason why I went through the hotels, I just wanted to see what the numbers are like, because we've got ALO, which we'll talk about in a sec. And it's a big turnaround. So from that point of view, I really much think there could be a trade on here, and there's a pent-up demand for travel, leisure, and looking to take some holiday somewhere along the line. Because of course we've been stuck with COVID for 3 years, as people want to go. Prices are expensive, but people still want to go. So overall, I like it. As a trade, I'll leave it again to you. But there's the huge improvement out of EVT. So one to watch. And then which leads me to ALO, Dave. And I think
the only thing with EVT, right, is no dividend on it,
no.
and it's expensive.
Yeah, that's right. So it's more of a trade than anything else, right? For me.
And I think if you're looking at it, it's very sideways. I think to trade this, you want to see a lot more Wolfie.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you want to wait probably the end of the week at least, and then see from there where it takes you.
Right, the end
but
of
it
the year.
gets you to ALO.
More like the end of the year. All right.
Maybe.
So this one again was on Einstein's, because I like the look of the chart. And your feeling is that this could surprise the upside.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the one that you'd be looking at from a leisure point of view, because if I saw EVT's hotels that are getting much better, right, occupancy levels, these guys have got these small boutique type accommodation for holidays, rentals, right? And like I said, I've got one here right next door, Dave, on the corner of my street that I live in. They actually own one of these, and there's always like no vacancy signs on it. Must be going all right. So I'm thinking they should be doing okay, and I think there's a trade here. And again, you're taking a risk, right, with the announcement, which is probably going to be here in the next week and a half. But I think overall, there's something here that.
Yeah, no, they're announcing on Thursday. They announced.
There you go.
Yeah, definitely. So one to have a look at. It's a little bit like Lavisa. It's a risk though, isn't it? Obviously.
Correct, Dave. And then maybe with this one, you just wait another couple of days to see if there's any insider buying. For it. 25 cents, maybe. What do you reckon?
But I think we should do a really good list, Wolf, of the party stocks, right? The stocks that could do well with the new swinging 20s, which we reckon we could have.
Party stocks. Well,
this is what we had. Part of what I like to do is look at history, how people react to certain times, and we've had that exactly. We've had our Spanish flu. We've had this, well, not as bad as Spanish flu, but we've had this massive lockdown. And everybody just wants to get out there and party. I mean, I was looking at flights to UK to see my mum. I haven't seen her 5 years, and
you're gonna have to wait another 5 years.
I told her, Mum, we're gonna have to keep to Skype. I mean, it's crazy money.
It is. It's very expensive. It's very expensive. And I know that's stuff for people want to fly, and they're thinking that $2,500 to go fly to Europe. Yeah. Nah.
Well, I've still got to see Mum, but I was going to take, some of the kids, but I don't think I can do that.
Kids can just ride a boat.
Well, they can hit shit. Things like Qantas I thought was looking good, and that THL. So some of these sort of party stocks, and the other one which I didn't put on, which maybe I should have done, but I was not going to. Flight Centre didn't look too bad. Yeah. Right, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think I saw like Air New Zealand or something. I think that was looking pretty good as well. AAZ. Yeah. Let's see what.
Just got to go through 75. But at the end of the day, the world is waking up, right? And these sort of stories definitely could be.
And can you imagine when the actual war stops, right? It's going to be huge pent up. Everyone wants to fly everywhere, because it probably a lot of the maybe inflation is going to ease off a little bit as well, right? There's going to be much more like a relief type. Finally, right? Because I still got, I probably some little bit trepidations about this war in Europe.
Right, Wolf. We've gone through a number of stocks, and hopefully that's helped people, because they might be holding some of those and they can have an idea what to do. Yep. Again, some of the stocks that look interesting, that RXM, was on Einstein. It's starting to edge up and possibly could edge up higher to 35 or 40 if people are looking for a trade. I thought West Farmers looked pretty good. That was on Einstein's. Rick is up 3%. You know, had a great candle last week, and you know, maybe, you know, hopefully people are in that. You know, QBE, funny enough, I know we said take a profit last week, but it came back a little bit, and I thought, right, at the end of the day, it had the breakout. It didn't look too bad. I like that MRM. I thought that looked good. That EGL, we spoke about that. It's starting to work its way up very, very nicely, isn't it?
Yep.
SDF.
Yep.
You know, worth having a look at.
Beautiful.
88. So I thought Telstra, we talked about it. You know,
I think if we have a little bit of positivity this week, I think some of these nice charts will probably trend quite nicely.
You know, we had a buy signal on CRN, which, you know, the chart's very, very solid, and VCX. You know, two really solid charts over the last 6 months. Well worth having a look at. So there's plenty of ideas there. So good hunting, and hopefully, Wolf, we can come up with some really solid trends that we can put on. Now, I think the only thing really we can get out of today is which is the one dividend play, which is ALD.
Yes. So if you're looking for a dividend play, not bad at all. Not bad at all. I mean, you can probably get by for the next 6 months, I'd say, and strip a couple of dividends out of this for sure.
All right. On that note, listen, Wolfie, thank you very much, and have a good day.
I like the party idea. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to come up with some stocks for you.
Well, I think we should have the party stocks.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Wolfie. See you, mate. Bye.